Hello, Year 2. In our second lesson on the Lent unit in RE, we're revisiting a parable that I think you would have heard during your time at St Anthony's, either in Year 1 or Year R. It's a very popular parable. It's the parable of the lost sheep. So not only today are we going to listen to the story, but we're going to think about its meaning. Because remember, a parable is a story that Jesus told with a meaning for all of us. So let's remind ourselves of the story first. The parable of the lost sheep. A shepherd had 100 sheep. He cared for them very much. So here's our shepherd. I can't see 100 sheep there myself. I can only see 4 children. But we know that he had 100 sheep. That's quite a lot of sheep, isn't it, that he had to look after. And the shepherd's job was very important to keep these sheep safe. He watched over them in case any animals came to attack them. Okay, so he had to look after them and keep his eye on them very carefully. Every evening he took them back to the sheepfold or sheep pen and counted them to make sure they were all there. Don't think it'd be hard to count these 2, but he obviously had 100 altogether that he needed to count in to make sure they were safe. One evening, the shepherd only counted 99 sheep. So he had one missing, didn't he? Because he started off with 100. The shepherd was very worried and went out to look for his lost sheep. So even though he had 99 left, he still wanted to search for that one missing sheep. He searched and searched. Where was his sheep? Can you see how sad he's looking, children? Finally, he found it. It had got trapped amongst some rocks. There it is. The shepherd carried his sheep home. Can you see he's carrying the sheep on his shoulders and made sure it was safe? Look how happy he is now. The shepherd in the story. The shepherd was so happy he threw a party to celebrate. Looks like he partied with a neighbouring shepherd, doesn't it? So now you've heard the parable. Can you find this worksheet in your home learning packs where you've got the pictures that remind you of the story? But I'd like you to write a short description underneath, just a sentence will do, to show that you can retell that story in your own words, because retelling is an important skill in Year 2. So can you remember what happened? And write me a sentence underneath each of the pictures. And then if you want to, you can colour the pictures in, but that's not essential. Okay, so you've heard it and you've written a short description. Okay, and then I'd like you to glue that, as always, in the back of your red exercise books that you've been using for homeschooling. And then I'd like you to pause the video and think about what is the message for us in this parable. The story's about a shepherd and some sheep. Why is Jesus telling us this story? What is the message for us in the story? Who does the shepherd and his sheep represent? If you think you know the answer, write it in your exercise books after you've glued the pictures in. Write it down for me. I wonder, can you think very carefully about what message Jesus has for us in this parable? Jesus told this story to help us understand how much celebration there is in heaven when one person who makes the wrong choices repents. To repent means we let God know how sorry we are for making the wrong choices. So in this story, God is represented by the shepherd and we are the sheep. God is represented by the shepherd who loves all of his sheep and wants to take great care of them. And even when one of the sheep goes astray, like we do if we make the wrong choices, God goes in search for them, just like the shepherd, and he wants everyone to be part of his family and to spend eternity in heaven with him. God is a loving and forgiving Father, just like the shepherd in our story, who cares about every one of his children. So remember, children, just like the shepherd, God cares about every single one of us, just as the shepherd does about his sheep. He wants us to make the right choices and join his family. Okay. I now want to share a short video clip of the parable with you. Okay, there are no words, but you will be able to watch and hopefully be reminded of this parable. Let's have a little look at the parable in the form of a video now. Don't you just love the way that shepherd celebrates in the video there? Okay, he's very, very happy to have found his lost sheep. And that's exactly how God feels when we say sorry if we have gone astray like the sheep, and we then go on to make the right choices. Okay, fantastic little video there, I thought, of the story of the lost sheep. So finally, in your packs, you have a diagram like this. The title at the top is the story, the parable of the lost sheep, and then you've got 4 boxes, one entitled actions, one entitled thoughts, another one words, and another one emotions. And so that I know that you've really thought about the story and you can really remember the details of it, in each box could you write what are the actions, what takes place? What might be the thoughts of the shepherd? Could you put those into words? And the sheep when he's found and he's stuck. Okay. And what words would have been spoken? Even though there weren't words in the video, what words would have been or might have been spoken by the characters in the story? And then finally, Can you describe some of the emotions, some of the feelings of the characters in the story? Okay, so in this parable, you're going to be thinking about what actually happened, the actions, the thoughts of those involved, the words that might have been said by the shepherd, and the emotions of the characters in the parable. Okay, thank you, children. And the next RE lesson we have will be together back in school next week. And I'm sure, like me, you're really looking forward to that, to being back together in class.